Hello there and welcome to this episode of Her Associates. I'm your host, Hinda Hashi on CBA TV. Now today my guest is somebody special. We're moving away from what we usually do. He's a very interesting individual, an English teacher here in Somaliland. His name is Karsten Potts. Welcome, Karsten.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Karsten, why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
So originally I'm from Minnesota in the USA, and I grew up in the Twin Cities, and I always liked traveling, and then I realized in high school I had a lot of Somali friends and wanted to learn more about where they were from, and just kept learning. Eventually I learned Somali, and I've traveled from America to Djibouti, back, Kenya, here. East Africa, back and forth. And I've taught ESL, English as a second language, in the US to Somali speakers, Spanish speakers, Chinese, anybody who needs to learn English in the public school system would be in the ESL program. And here I get to teach EFL, English as a foreign language. And I think this is the place where I can achieve the most with my efforts.
So apart from having, of course, friends who are Somali, and curiosity is understandable, but is there anything else? I mean, you're American. You could have been anywhere else in the world teaching English.
Saudi, South Korea.
Why this little part, our corner of the world? Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of opportunity here, because there's a lot of background in English. So when you go to public school, the lessons are in English. Universities, for sure, English. And a lot of the grammar and reading and writing a lot of those skills are really well developed. And what people need the most is speaking. So I feel like everyone's like 90% there. Yeah. And then here, I can bring them over the top, bring them to that 100%. So like if you're boiling water, it boils at 100 Celsius, but if you, say room temperature is 35, you bring it up to 99 degrees Celsius, it's still not boiling. So I feel like everyone's this close, and if I can help bring a lot of people over the top, help them with a conversation, practice, all that, I can help more people with my effort.
Do you feel like, or rather, has teaching always been a passion of yours?
Yeah. It's, I always like learning myself, and then people who like to learn usually like to also teach and share what they know. Yeah. And I like to incorporate a lot of language learning strategies that I use for French and Somali when teaching Somali speakers to speak English.
What are some of those strategies, if you can tell our viewers, please?
Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Okay.
When you make mistakes, you learn. It doesn't feel good though, so you have to be mentally ready to make mistakes. But yes, it feels bad. Yeah, and that's why you remember. So, and then find people who don't speak your language. So, for anyone in East Africa, for my Somali students, find people who speak English but not Somali. It's hard, but we have the internet too. One of my students improved his conversation skills a lot gaming, because you can talk to people live.
Yeah, I always tell people YouTube, or if you're watching anything, watch a lot of TV, everything in English. It helps as well.
And you can slow down the speed on YouTube. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend slowing it all the way to 80%, because it sounds funny, but 90%. So it's pretty good.
So Karsten also speaks Somali, having obviously interacted with a lot of Somali people, and your Somali is actually pretty good.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Could you maybe give us a little about, actually, let me ask you, when did you first start to speak Somali?
Around 2014 is when I started studying more in Djibouti. Okay. And then in Djibouti, they mix Somali and French, so I developed both of those skills. Then I went back to Minnesota and separated the French from the Somali, and really spoke with people there. I became an interpreter. At the same time I was teaching a lot of people.
An interpreter for Somali people?
Somali and French to English. So it really helped because I had the support of the other interpreters. They would always tell me new ways to say things. Yeah. Like for interpreting, I remember like a basic one like humad. Yeah. In the South they say kando. And there's also fun words like, I keep forgetting here you guys say moose instead of mos. Yeah. So.
And do you have an eye for this linguistic differences? You can tell whether it's from the South or from the North?
So I usually listen for keywords. Okay. And then the only thing that's like, I would say is accent is gabad, gabar. Yeah. That's about it. But then keywords, like if I say gudud up here, everybody always corrects me, asan. So, whereas I learn them interchangeably, because sometimes I just learn words from a book.
So. Do you think you can tell our viewers a little story in Somali, maybe?
Okay. Let's talk even more about language. That's what's on my mind now. So, af Somali ga wa kasi baranaya. In morgan ku hadlaya wa khaldamaya marmar, lakin wa khalid kega wa kabaranaya, inshallah. Lakin iminka gabayasha hes Somali ma fahmi karo, lakin mahmah wa jalahay, lakin marmar wa adag inan fahmo. Yeah.
What's your favorite mahmah?
The one I use the most is bentada hore runtada dambe be udaranta hai. Okay. But that's fun because it's kind of hard to translate into English. We have one. And then there's another one that I like. I guess, my favorite would be Mel side utalo ayalo yala. So you'd have to translate it to when in Rome do as the Romans do. Yeah. Because in English, we have the verb to be. In Somali, you have yahai, jir, jog, yal, like kob shaha, nokon, wayet. So, because if you had to translate it directly, it would be kind of how a place is how you should be in that place. Yeah. But sometimes, especially with interpretation and language learning, meaning for meaning is the best way to interpret things.
What do you tell your students, the ones trying to learn English, when it comes to the grammatical differences, the linguistic differences? Because Somali also has a lot of emphasis on pronouns, or whether the table is a female or the heat is a male. Yeah.
Yeah, just keeping an open mind, because I know Somali has gender for objects, but then the word it doesn't exist. And then you can say EC, which if you translate would be give to me, but in English we have to say give it to me. So I try and sometimes I just say English is weird. Like another example, read a book. I read a book, spelled the same, sound the same, and then you have lead and led, same thing, and then also led the material. So same thing with parts of grammar, that sometimes it might just not exist, and keep an open mind, and then practice. Because a lot of speaking is habit formation. Yeah. So for stuff like that, it's important, if you're reading or just speaking and repeating, say the whole sentence. Because that way, if you're reading from something, you know it's correct, like from a book. You know all the little prepositions and conjunctions are in the right place, possessives, and so if you even have a fill-in-the-blank activity that you're reading aloud in class, don't just say the word from the blank, say the whole sentence. It's the same in Somali, makujira kumajiro. like that flip, was something I just made a million mistakes in a row and then remembered. So.
Okay, so we're going to go on a little break and we'll be right back.
Making documentaries is one of the most creative, craft and challenging endeavors you can be involved in. It is an effective strategy to inform, persuade, educate, defend the perspective and shed light on various issues, policies and activities. At CBA TV, documentary production is our forte. We capture every TikTok detail of events in highest resolution to tell the story you care about, from politics to human angle, research-based content, educative and informative. We also help you project your story in a dynamic perspective that attracts the world views of the target audience, as there is no better or more powerful way to place the organization's values and achievements than to make an excellent documentary film. No doubt, our strength lies in these ventures, and we pride in many award-winning documentaries which have been earning accolades across Africa and beyond. Let's tell your story.
Welcome back, dear viewers. For those of you who are just joining us, we have Karsten Potts in the studio today. He's an English teacher, a Somali speaker, and he has come to be a member of the Somali community. Karsten, welcome back. Why don't you tell me what your overall Somaliland experience has been like?
It's been pretty fun. You know, whenever you move to a new country, a year ago, I think I knew one person here, or when I first came. But then now I've made a lot of connections. It's been a lot of hard work, but I feel like the hard work I'm doing here is preferable to what I'd be doing in America, because there are so many things that are new. Yeah. And then there's a lot of opportunity. And I always remind myself, opportunity does not mean easy. It means something can happen. Yes. So I try to remember that, and I really feel like Somaliland is a place where you can do new things. I really feel like East Africa is a place where you can do new things. Because in America, everything's, we say, tapped out. Mm-hmm. Like there's not as much room for growth, and here, it's a lot easier to try new ideas, which is kind of strange because people say America's the land of opportunity. I believe that's true, but I believe there's opportunity here. And if you work hard, you can do something new. It really helps that people are very helpful, very open. Sometimes I get worried if I go to an African country, or I don't know, any country I'm unfamiliar with. Like I'll be too complacent, yeah, because a lot of stuff is easy here that is not easy elsewhere. Like I feel fine walking around at any hour of the day. And I don't, but like you can walk around town at 11 o'clock at night, no problem. Yeah. So it's been nice to be able to focus on work and not other stuff that like safety that would hinder really your distract.
Experience. Yeah, definitely. And have you traveled around Somaliland?
Yeah. Gebile. I went there quite a bit, and it's kind of nice, refreshing, very green when the rain falls. And Borima is the furthest I've gone on that road. When I first came here, I came through Djibouti by land, and that was really interesting. It's a very, very intense ride, but I'm glad I had that experience. And then going east, the furthest would be Berbera for maybe 2 days. But I'd like to go all the way to Erigavo, but with travel time and I want to make sure if I go and travel, I do something meaningful, like not just enjoy myself, but who knows, I have some lessons online for students all around the world. If any of them happen to be in a city like Berbera, that'd be really cool to actually meet them. Yes. So I'd like to continue to travel. And then Arabcio, I visited 2 different friends' farms just to kind of see. To be honest, it's a bit embarrassing. I didn't know you could farm all the way up here. I thought that stopped further south, but farming is very big.
It is. What do you think about the agricultural landscape and the industry as a whole?
So when I say potential, that's a good example because in America, I think sometimes we have 3 harvests. I should know this because I'm from Minnesota, where we have a lot of corn and dairy farms. But here, a lot of the farming's seasonal. But with the right equipment, you could farm twice a year. So America, I'm going to use that word tapped out. The farming market is kind of tapped out. You can't grow 200%. Like, you can't increase production by 200%. You can get marginal. Here, some technology, if you have the technology like drip irrigation, greenhouses. Greenhouses are very popular. And some mechanized farming equipment, some market solutions to get your products. Like a papaya won't stay like sellable for 6 months, you know.
Unless it has a little bit of help.
Yeah. So it's I can easily see 200%, maybe 300% increase, and it's not going to be easy. Like if you know any farmers, it's hard work.
It is hard work.
But the room is there to grow. So that's what I mean, like opportunity.
The potential is there. What is your favorite thing about Somali culture, if any?
I don't know, there are a few things. I love how direct it is. People are very, very direct about certain questions that or certain things that in America you wouldn't be, especially in Minnesota. And then some of that even is built into the language. But it's nice to be direct with people. And I like the whole environment of entrepreneurship.
A lot of that going on. People have a lot of potential out here.
And it's crazy because like when I see statistics about this region online, you always see like in the bottom 10. And it's like, I've been to other countries in the bottom even 20. And it's like, something doesn't make sense. There's a lot more here, a lot more entrepreneurship. A lot of Somali culture is very family-based, and people take care of each other. And it promotes economic risk-taking in a way that's really fun to watch. And it surprises a lot of people. Like in America, people will say something like, well, if you can't take interest, you can't take a loan. And there are but if you go in on something with your family and support your brothers, sisters, cousins, aunt, uncle, nephew, niece, you can, like your family will have your back. There's also fun stuff like the hagbad, where you just kind of chip in, and then like after however many people, it's your turn. So it's kind of like forced savings. And
that's a good way to save.
Yeah, because you make yourself, and it's like, man, I gotta chip in the whatever. And I know the amounts for hagbad can vary greatly. Like, you know, a few less than 100, like more than 1,000, like. But
it's also a great way for giving back to the society and to the community around you.
Yeah, because it makes you more flexible when it's your turn, but it makes everybody else more flexible when it's their turn. So, and I love that people take ideas and run with it. So something's always growing here, even in Minnesota. Tell my friends in Minnesota, Caramel in 24. The Caramel Somali Mall, the first time I went there on Lake Street, was 2 separate buildings and an open air parking lot. Now, one of those buildings has 4 floors, and like it's in a circle, and then there's parking in the middle in the parking garage. So, and here, look at the skyline. There are new buildings going up everywhere. Construction's a very big industry. And the cool thing is, it doesn't seem like a bubble in Hargeisa. usually when land prices go up, it kind of makes me nervous. But there's a strong real estate market, and I'm not an economist, but the Berbera corridor hasn't even finished yet. Yeah. So it's that kind of culture that promotes economic growth and people looking out for each other. It's really cool. What really drew me to the culture, though, I was born in 1991. A lot of the friends I met in Minnesota were born around the same time. And they came over in middle school or high school, which would be when they were 14, 12, 16. So they remember a lot of growing up in Somalia and in Kenya, a neighborhood called Eastleigh. Well, yeah, you guys know Eastleigh. Yeah. And like, let's just say, like, it made me realize my life was very easy, but I also thought, like, man, all these people I know have every excuse in the world to be really bad, selfish, but they're not. It's like, that kind of drew me, and it's like, wow, really genuine people. Yeah. So that's why I feel safe leaping over to like, you can just come to Hargeisa.
Yeah.
But it's something, like, I feel like a lot of my American friends think I'm reckless. I really gave this a lot of thought. So, yeah.
Is there anything that you've learned about life or about yourself that you wouldn't have learned if you were back home?
It's really nice to know your limits. I used to race motocross. It's a motorcycle racing off-road in high school. And I was not a very good rider, but that introduced me very quickly to my limits. Traveling in East Africa is similar. If you don't give it 100% or 110%, how do you know what your capabilities are? So it provides me with a continuing opportunity, or an environment where many opportunities come up to see how far I can go, and it teaches me who I really am. So.
Well, thank you very much, Karsten. It was a pleasure having you. That's all for this episode of Her Associates on CBA TV. I'm your host, Hinda Hashi, and until next time, be safe and take care.